Did you like, or maybe maybe I'm jumping ahead now. Like, what was your first job you had here?
When I first came here, when I returned to St. Paul, I when I returned to St. Paul, my first job was down at the King Ida restaurant, and I worked with Whitty Shreves. Yeah, and I worked with her. I became the cashier. I learned to be a cash. She hired me to be a cashier,
So
but
that was a
I also
tourist
did
restaurant.
yeah,
for
and I also
tourists.
did waitressing, and so it was fun. I got to work with Z, my sister-in-law Z, my sister-in-law Nellie. I even got to work with Whitty, Marie Swetsoff. I worked at the hotel, TDX Hotel, as a assistant manager. Zanita Lesninka was the manager. Roseanne was our boss. I applied for the job, so I got hired. So I worked there. I worked with a very good friend. Her name is Evdokia, and they called her Duna. And so she was the one that taught me about the hotel, how to go about with it, getting it ready for the summer season. Zanita came in later. Yeah. And so I worked at the hotel. I worked here at the Civic Center for JOM. Phyllis Swetsoff hired me. I started to work with Sofia Zaharov to begin with, and then Sofia was going to be leaving, so she told me, "You got to do it." She encouraged me, and I told her, I said, "I've always wanted to be a teacher," and I said, "I'll give it a try," and so I did it. Yeah, and
What's JOM?
Johnson O'Malley program. It was a Head Start program, and I worked for the city of St. Paul, and Uncle Greg didn't want me to leave TDX. He said, "You gotta stay. You cannot leave." And I said, "Yeah, I applied for the job up at the city. They have a cashier position open, so I'm gonna apply for that. It's a full-time job, and it's permanent, and there's benefits, so I'm gonna apply for that job." And so I did, and I got hired. So I worked for the city of St. Paul as a cashier. From cashiering, I went to accounts receivable, that's billing. I did general reconciliations, and then I did payroll. But I also learned to do a little bit of accounts payable and purchasing. Yeah. And so when I left the city, the position, when I left the city, I was the payroll person. Right. I had a great time working with a lot of people. I learned a lot. I even said at one time, at one point, I said, years are going by, you know. I worked at the city. I worked with Stephanie, Sherry, Wanda, Nellie, Z, Alicia, Dion, Pat,
Junior.
Maxim Buterin, Anne Shane was there, but she worked with Phyllis in the city clerk's department, I believe, because Phyllis was a city clerk. Clara was there.
Were you there when
I worked with Clara.
Michael Lamb
Yes,
worked?
Mike Lamb.
And I
Yeah.
have to ask this because not to distract from your story, but was it you that asked me what's Municipal Plaza? No, somebody asked me. Maybe it was Michael Crone. He was like, "Where did they get this address? Something Municipal Plaza for the city?" And I said, "I've never heard that." And so I asked Phil at lunchtime today, and he goes, "I don't know. That doesn't even. It's not anywhere. It's not an address." But he's thinking, he wasn't sure if it was Michael Lamb or if it went as far back as Vern McCorkle that gave it that name without even putting it in a real address mode. And he goes, no,
that's
it's
interesting.
900, whatever the city are,
Oh, that's
950.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when I worked for
Somehow
this,
it shows
when I
up in other
yeah,
places.
like 100 municipal something.
Plaza.
Yeah, yeah. So anyway, so when I worked with the city, I remember Vern McCorkle, Larry Merkuliev, Mike Lamb, John R. Merkuliev, Phyllis, Ben's mom, Chansina. She was a city manager, but she wasn't working there no more. Clara was the one that I worked with also. Yeah. Yeah.
So many people.
There's so many. I mean,
Yeah.
so
That
what
you
I'm,
know.
what I'm
that's-
sharing with all of you, like I said, I kind of like there's in between. So I've gone from this to that, and
Yeah.
then a little bit back this way. It's like, oh, I should have said this. So maybe we should have kind of like just did a breakdown so I wouldn't lose my,
Oh, that's perfect.
Yeah, but I mean,
fine.
this is what we're doing, right? We're
Right.
visiting and I'm sharing.
And I think maybe one of the things that I appreciate with you sharing is the peopling. There's like just remembering the people that were doing different things,
Yeah,
and that there are so many people that have made this town click, and we kind of
Yes.
forget that.
Yes,
We forget that.
there's in between, but I'll just share it anyway. If I become emotional, just excuse me. There's learning about St. Paul, how they, how the government was here. I was here. I lived in St. Paul. I came to St. Paul. The government was here. I returned to St. Paul, and the government was still here. And then they finally left. So the Aleuts, the people of St. Paul here, they were free. It's their home. And I was very, very happy for them. Watching the transition from the government being here and then them doing it for themselves now, was wonderful. That's when I started to get myself to understand more of what the leaders meant, what they spoke about, what they tried to teach the next generation, like Debbie and maybe even the ones before Debbie's time. But for me, I felt and I saw the hard work that they have done for not just them, the people, but their home, your home, the island, St. Paul.
And
I've
your
made
home.
my home, yes. And my family has asked me, sister, when are you going to come home and move home? And I told them, I said, Guam is always going to be my home. It's my birthplace. It's always going to be my heart. But I told my siblings, I said, St. Paul's my home now. I've made it my home. This is where our children is born and raised. And we have grandchildren now, so we have 5 children, and we have 5 grandchildren. I'm sorry. These are happy tears. So for me, watching, seeing, feeling what the leaders here in St. Paul have done, what this generation now is doing, and for the next generation, it scares me because we have grandchildren, and I want to share with them want to share with them where I come from, my hometown, what it's about, and moving here and living here. And this is where my life began. Like I said, from a teenager into a young adult, into a wife, a mother, and I'm a nana now, grandmother. Do you have Kleenex?
It's cold, but you want a sip of tea.
I'm fine. But even now, I tell my grandchildren, this is how you say this word in Nana's language, the Chamorro language. And if I know how to say it in Aleut, I would say it to them. And this is how you say it in Aleut. So this is in English, this is in Aleut, this is in Guamanian. English, Unangan, Chamorro. And they'll look at me, like, what is my Nana? To me, I feel like they want to say, what do you mean by that? Yeah, so.
So with you mentioned Guamanian and Chamorro, like.
So Guamanian would be like if I asked you, what is your, who are you? What is your nationality? And then you'll say to me, you're Aleut. Mm-hmm. And if you ask me what my nationality is, I would say I'm Guamanian. But in your indigenous way of introducing yourself, you would say you're Unangan. Okay. And I would tell you I'm a Chamorro.
Got you.
Yeah. Okay.
So were you fluent? Are you fluent?
Yes, I can speak my language. As a matter of fact, my sister and I were just FaceTime. I FaceTime with my siblings a lot. And we have this thing where even I think I'm teaching them Aleut. I would be speaking with them and I would say something in Guamanian, Chamorro, and then I would say something in English, and then I would say ayaka, something like that, or ananga, and my sister would say, "What is that?" And so I have all three languages, and so just the other day, I told my sister, one of my sisters, I said, when we FaceTime, let's try to do this. Let's just greet each other in our language and make a conversation. Let's see which one of us is going to fall off and go into the direction of speaking in English, or I would throw in the Aleut word, right? And my sister, she would say, I don't know what you just said, sister, but I'm not laughing at you. I said, I know you're not laughing at me, but you're laughing because you don't know what I said, right? Yeah. And it's fun because I get to share it with my siblings. Yeah. And I told them, I said, if I say something in Aleut, then just ask me what it means. I'll tell you. And I tell them, And I told them, I said, I don't pronounce it exactly how they're supposed to say it, but I do. I can tell you what it means. I'll try my best. And going back to Aleut, Unangan, I was working at the city office, and I was a cashier, and Father Michael, Debbie, your dad, came to pay for his bill one afternoon. And he said to me, he says, do you know how to say bread in Aleut? And I told him, yes. And I said, it's kliba. And he looked at me with a big smile, and he said, when you go home, ask Myron to tell you. Ask him how to say bread. And so I went home after work, and I said, honey, Father Michael came to the cashier office today, cashier window, to pay for his bill. And he asked me if I knew how to say bread in Aleut. And I told him yes. And so Myron said, did you tell him? I said, yeah. I said, kliba. And he said, oh, what did Father Mike say? He looked at me with a smile, and he told me, go home and ask Myron how to say bread in Aleut. And so that's what I did. I went home, and Myron looks at me and he says, oh, you're supposed to have that gas. I can't do it. But anyway, I looked at him and I said, have I been saying bread the wrong way? He said, no, but that's Father Michael. Yeah, you have to. What Father,
Yeah.
what Father Mike wanted me to learn is the accent in the word itself, and I kept trying, and I said, I can't do it. I said, I'll try. I said, but if I don't do it right, then that's as far as I can go with that.
I think my dad
Yeah.
at one point even just said we should just shorten it to
Yeah,
or something like that and just
yeah.
call
It was
Biba
supposed to be, yeah, it was supposed to
just
be
to
the
get the sound.
have that goss sound in there. So anyway, that was Father Mike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Switch from a
Right.
So that happened with the kids where they're learning to sing Christ is risen in Unanga. And we let them know that we're letting them have that sound with Christus.
Yeah.
But that people will say with a K sound, that's not wrong. It's just they both work.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I would listen to like my mother-in-law and Auntie Hannah and Tiagas. They would speak. Uncle Greg. They would speak in Aleut, and I would just listen. And so I've been trying to teach myself just by
She
simple
was the elder
words.
sister of them.
Simple
Your
words.
mother-in-law.
My mother-in-law, yes,
Yeah.
Susie. And so there would be certain words that I would ask, and then when I hear them speaking, it's like, I think I know what they're talking about. I think I know what they're talking about. I think they're talking about a meal, or what they're going to prepare for dinner or lunch. But they're talking about a meal, and Myron would say, "How do you know that's what they were talking about?" I said, "Because I'm teaching myself by listening, and I'm asking, does that mean this?" Yeah, so that's how I started to teach myself Aleut. Yeah. So there's a few words that I know, not a whole lot. I'm still trying to learn, but I still cannot get myself to actually just go right in and say a sentence, or I would stop and it's like, oh, I can't do this. It's not the way to say it.
Do you have like
So
a sound in Chamorro that's like really like our guttural sounds, our unanga?
no, it's pretty much like we say hafa a day to greet someone, or you can say buenas. That means hello. Of course, in the morning there's buenos dias. Good afternoon is buenas tardes. Good evening, buenas noches. When I look at someone, or I'm going to meet someone, greet somebody in the family, if we're sitting, I'll say a sentence to you like, Hafatata manhao. That's like, how are you doing? Hafa bidadamo. What are you doing? Paramanu how. That's where are you going?
That's I kind of like I think about if we were more expanded at the time you were working with the Head Start and such, for you to be having spoken to kids
Right.
in Chamorro.
Oh,
Because the kids
I-
are remembering from our teachers from the Philippines,
yeah.
they're picking up words from
Yeah,
them.
so
it's
I
kind of
start.
nice.
Yeah, so it's like teaching yourself the ABC, or even like the first thing I probably knew how to do right is count in Aleut, but I wanted to teach myself that, and so just like the song Head, Shoulders, Knees, and Toes, I didn't know how to say the body parts in Aleut, and so I asked Auntie August. I said, Auntie, let's work on this. This is my goal. Let's turn this song by singing it in Aleut. And I remember Father Michael saying, oh my God, he was just amazed about it. And I felt good because, it's like, we're going to do this. And I went home every night and I was like, okay, this is how you say it. And I would just repeat it to myself, sing it, repeat it, come to school. And Auntie August and I, we would just sit together. So I thank Auntie for helping me to try to say it the way it should be said. I'm sure I got pretty close. So I did that. I learned, of course, the children, they were being taught, like Miss Edna, they did Aleut in school, so I learned how to count in Aleut, 1 through 10. That's as far as I go. I know a little Japanese, so I'm teaching my grandkids how to count in my language in Japanese, in Aleut, and one of them said, "How do you know how to speak all that, say all that?" And I said, "Just stop myself. If you listen, you pick words up, you get to learn." There are those that aren't. There are people you would meet that are not Aleut. Like Nana's not Aleut. I'm Guamanian. And so I'm a Chamorro, so this is my language, right? So, Spanish. If you learn how to speak Spanish, you're going to say to Nana, "Nana, that's how we say it in Spanish also." Apache's grandma one day needed shortening, and her and Sergey, her grandpa and grandma, were talking in the kitchen, and I don't know what they were talking about, but I heard them say a word, mantika. And I said, mantika, I think they're talking about shortening, lard. Yeah, so I asked, I said, "Is that how do you say shortening in Aleut?" Or maybe it might have been Russian, I don't know. I just said Aleut. And they said mantika. And I said, that's how we say it in my language. Mantika. So
Interesting.
yeah, and so that's when I got more curious. Like, I bet I can teach myself by listening, and by listening and just trying to pick up words, or if someone says something and I don't know how to say it, pronounce it, then just by listening, it's like I know what he said or she said. Yeah.
So, do you ever feel like maybe, I don't know how to put it this way. For me, it's amazing the Freitas bloodline here connected to families from your part of the world. And you coming here and finding that family is almost a little bit of, it had to be like a divine for them.
So when my mom first came to St. Paul, I brought my mom to St. Paul to see the island that I'm living. "Mom, you need to come to St. Paul Island. I'll pay for your way. I'll make sure that I take care of everything, and you'll be okay." And so my mom says, "Okay, I'll come to St. Paul." But I was worried because my mom was going to fly by herself. And I told myself, Mom will be fine. Mom travels quite a bit. She'll be fine. So I paid for my mom's way all the way to St. Paul Island. And when she came here, the first thing she said was, "Baby, this is a beautiful island." I said, "It is." And she said it was clean. Because Myron and I took her for a ride and we showed her the island. And she said it's clean, it's quiet, just the serenity of it. She fell in love with it. She says, "Baby, you're comfortable?" And I said, "Yes, Mom." And so I started sharing with her. Everywhere Myron drove, I was just telling her where we were going, where we were at, and what to expect. She asked me if I prepared the dishes, and I said yes. So when my mom came, the day she came in, I told her, I said, "Okay, Mom, we are going to have seal meat tomorrow. I'm going to make homemade breads and seal meat. Seal meat, they say isaladan is meat that's fried and cooked, prepared to where they also have gravy, and then you serve it over rice, and you can have vegetables on the side." So she said, "Oh, baby, I've never had seal meat." So I told her, I said, "You'll love it, Mom. You'll love it. I promise you." She says, okay. She said, I'll try it. And so I prepared. I had her in Polly Rukavishnika. I call her my Krusna. So she's not my Krusna, but I call her Krusna, Polly, because she is my mother, like a mother to me. And so I respect her in that
brother
way.
and sister.
Yeah.
That's
So,
his cruise now.
yeah, I know. And just like Auntie Mary and Uncle George, I didn't say that earlier. They're my Anchorage parents because they took care of me in Anchorage. So I had to have the Anchorage parents, and then I have the St. Paul parents. So Krusna Polly, I had her come to dinner and to meet my mom. And I told my mom, I said, Mom, this is the lady, her and her husband and her children. They've taken care of me when I needed help. They were there for me. I didn't know, I didn't really know anybody. Like, who do I turn to if I needed somebody, right? All I had is my husband and his family, but I got to meet her, and so she became that person. And I love her. And so I prepared seal meat isalabin with rice, vegetables, and had gravy, and homemade bread. So my mom sat there, she tried it, and she continued. She says, oh, this is delicious. So I told her, I said, I told you you would love it. And she says, who taught you how to make homemade bread? And I said, I watched my mother-in-law make bread. And then I tried, and finally I got it down. So she enjoyed the meal. And then I told her we were going to have lusta. She said, what is that? So I had Myron explain to her that it's fermented seal flippers, and this is what you have with it. And so my mom said, okay, she'll try it. So I did. I prepared it. We had boiled seal meat, potatoes, the seal flippers, and we had oil also. And I told my mom, I said, I'll show you how to go about with it. And so I showed her, and she said she would try. So my mom did try it. She says, I got to try it, but I can't have it. So I told her, I said, it's okay, Mom. I'm happy you tried it. But she had the boiled seal meat with Liam Perrin sauce. She tried the oil. It was okay, but it might be a little bit too much for her, her digestion. So I told her, I said, you'll be okay, Mom. And so she had that. And then I prepared fried halibut also with onions, the gravy, the cream corn. So while learning how to prepare the Aleut dishes, I also watched what was served with it, and that's where I went from there. Like, oh, I guess I can serve it with this next time. Yeah, some people serve the fried halibut with mashed potatoes, yeah, and some can do rice. I grew up with rice always, breakfast, lunch, dinner, so it was rice. So, and then of course I had to learn how to make gravy. It was funny. I was like, how come there's lumps in my gravy? I didn't do the paste right. But I can do it now. Yeah. So those are the things my mom enjoyed St. Paul. My mom's favorite place in St. Paul is Sapani. There's the blinds. Took Mom to the blinds. She went up there, saw the show. She says, why is this here? So I told her, I said, this is where you come and you can look at the seals. They're down on the bottom here, and they're over there on the beach. And she says, oh, okay. So from the blinds, Myron and I drove her down to where the beach is, where the sign is. And my mom gets out with us, not knowing what she was going to do. I said, Mom, where are you going? You cannot go down that way. The seals are all over. She said, baby, you got to pet one. I said, no, you cannot pet the seals, Mom. You can't. I'm sorry. You off limits. You cannot go down that way. And so, Mom was like, okay. And so she told Myron and I, she said that was her favorite spot. Yeah, because the beach was there, the seal, she got to see it. and the seals are just, they're either laying on the beach or they're looking at you. And that's why Mom wanted to go and pet one because she was looking at one of them, and the seal, the seal was talking to her, I guess. The seal sound. And so I love it when the seals get here, because I always have Myron, my husband Myron, say, "Come on, honey, make that seal sound, come on." And he'll always do it for me. I even have a recording of him. And say, "Come on, babe, do that seal sound again." And so he would do it. And then the seals, they would look at him. And I said, "Look how cute they are." It's just, yeah.
I feel like Mom. I want to go pet one.
Yeah. No, I won't pet one. But that was Mom's favorite spot. Yeah. She was here when there were foggy days. So that was her first visit. And then she came back the second time for Ray and Cheryl's wedding. So when she came for Ray and Cheryl's wedding, this is where I told her, "Okay, Mom, you're going to get to meet Cheryl's side of the family." And I started explaining to her, going back to the Freitas family. Okay, so this is the part. My mom, she met Myron. Of course, Myron's gone to my hometown for the first time also. But my mom coming to St. Paul Island, of all people, my mom says, "Baby, you're probably related to Myron." And she would never say Myron. She would say Myron. That's how she would say his name. And I said, "No, Mom, we're not related. We live way over there. We live way over there, or we live over here, and St. Paul's up here, this way. So here's the St. Paul, and so here's my hometown down this way." So I said, we couldn't be related. But then, it's a small world, right? They always say, "Gosh, this is how far we live, and we didn't even know we had relatives over there," right? So one day, that was when we found out through Facebook that John Freitas was from my hometown, the Ladrones. And so when I saw that, you know how you just kind of feel, how do you say it? You feel surprised or unexpected, like, wow, I didn't know. No idea that this person that came to St. Paul years ago is from my hometown. And so Myron looks at me and says, "Remember what Mom said?" And he teased me and he said, "Maybe we're related." And I said, "No, we're not." But I don't know. Who knows, right? Could be a long line, right? The lineage just goes on and on and on. So I told him, I said, "No, we're not related. But it's a small world. The Lord created the world. The world is round." So,
Right.
people traveled, and he did come to St. Paul. He married somebody from here. He got to learn the language. He lived here after meeting someone, and that's who he became. But finding out at that moment that this person, John Freitas, for me to find out that, wow, that's something. And I told him, I said, "Man, it makes me feel good," because it made me feel that I don't have to feel like the way I felt when I first came here. Like, I'm not from here. I'm not from here, and I'm meeting another, I'm meeting people from this island that I've never heard of before. And I'm finding out that there's someone that came here from my hometown and lived here and raised a family, and the generation just keeps going and going, and it's still here.
Yep.
And it just, Myron and I just looked at each other, and it's like, I think the person that I felt was telling me to come back was probably the Lord. If anything, I was meant to be here.
Right.
Should I say that just by chance that I met Pachi You know, I ask myself these things. So by chance that I just happened to meet her, and she happened to be from here, and then her meeting me and coming from my hometown to her hometown, you know, it means a lot to me. This is the journey that was meant for me, to find out more about who I am, where I'm from, and not just that, my husband, where he's from, the differences we both have growing up, and him and I sharing my life, when, you know, my childhood and then his childhood. So we share that, and we talk about it. We talk about it, the different things that we both did growing up, the schools that I went to, what I had planned to do before coming here, likewise with him, the support that I didn't have when I came here and decided to, you know, fall in love with this man, this person I met, and now is my husband, and we have children and grandchildren, and it's just him and I. There's nobody else. It's just at that one moment where it's just me and him, and I don't have anybody else to turn to but him. And it made me stronger. It made me stronger to where I may not have my family here with me. They're all at home, but I do have family. And that's myself, him, our children and our grandchildren. And then his side of the family that became my family, that is my family now. And then like our son, Ray, married to Cheryl. And so I get to know, I have met some of the Lestinkoff family, and so I've met more. And then also not just the Lestinkoff, but the Shane family. You know, when I first came to St. Paul, and I was down at Myron's grandmother's house, Kokla, I looked over, and Auntie Martha and Uncle Bill, they lived in the red house. And I looked over there, and I said, are they Aleuts? Because to me, just from when I had looked at them, my first impression was, are they from here? Are they Aleut? Because they reminded me of some of my friends from the Philippines that I became friends with. But also, as myself, it's like, they remind me of somebody from home. Just like Z, when I met her, she reminded me of one of my neighbors. Just her actions, the way she looked, it reminded me of someone from home. And this is like way before even knowing that the Freitas family, or John Freitas, came from my hometown. And so it's special to me because I feel like I was never alone. I had someone, I just didn't know it. I didn't know that possibly that I had someone already here that existed from years back here in St. Paul. And like Dino and Susie became my best friend also, and she's a Freitas. And how do I really share that with her? Because I know that when they grew up, they were just Aleuts to them, until later on seeing this and finding out that, wow, is our great grandpa really from there? So we have part of that in me, or they have part of that in them. And it just made me even feel joyous. Just never by myself anymore. Yeah, but that's like way before, like I told Myron, I said, I was never by myself. There was somebody here. there's already someone here. Not just someone, there are others that are here. And I didn't even know that part of them came from my hometown. And it means a lot to me. So, like, meeting all of Myron's side of the family, my mother-in-law's, it just, it makes me feel that there's more I need to share with them so that I can tell them. I'm learning, and like George, I love the way George sings in church, and I've learned from him just the way he sings in Slavonic, in Aleut, and Russian. I mean, there's 3 different ways to sing some of the church songs. So it's special to me. And I can sing some of those songs when I'm in church. And I feel good. And I love to go to church.
Wouldn't it be interesting to know John Freitas when he came? Was he of the same religion and as you? And he came, and did he get baptized? And who are his godparents? Those types of stories.
And so I know that it's a mystery. Like they're trying to find out. Because I know when I was talking to Uncle Greg, I was telling Uncle Greg, I said, because Uncle Greg brought this conversation up where he said, oh yeah, I found out that my family's from the Koch family or the Cook family. And I said, say that again. And so when he said that, I told him, hey, that's in my history book. We were talking about that. And I said,
that name?
Yeah. And I said, you said Cook, so are you related to that family? And he says that of what he knows from where the Freitas family came. And I said, oh, that's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting. So I told him, I said, okay, I guess we'll have to find out more if we can. And then finding out about John Freitas, like, oh my gosh, where do we start? Where can we start to get more information besides the information that we know now? Yeah. And if not, then I guess we'll just have to move on.
I find it kind of cool that you shared that you didn't know how to cook. Yet John Freitas was a cook on a ship.
Yeah,
and he came.
Don't get me wrong. I didn't know how to cook because I didn't have interest. So we have fiestas, we have family gatherings at home, and it's always a family get together. So everybody has something to do. Somebody's making the red rice, the kelaguen, the latizza, the finadeni, the dishes that are to be prepared, the bunelus, the empanadas. So someone's assigned to do it. The salad, like potato salad. There's always somebody that's assigned to do. So when I was growing up, I was a little girl, and so my job was to go out to where the tables are set and use the paper plate and make sure that when the food's set on the table, even if they're covered, no flies. So that's what I got to do. That's one of the things I got to do. The other thing I got to do is to check, and when the platters, the bowls, the pots are almost empty, then I have to go back to the kitchen where everybody's still cooking and preparing the food, and I tell them, the red rice is almost gone. It needs to be refilled. So somebody from the kitchen will come out, pick up that pan, take it to the back, and then there's a fresh one, another one. So those were the things that we did. When someone prepares a meal, my grandmother taught me this thing where when you touch the food, then only that person touches that food. Nobody else. Like, I'll use potato salad, for example. if I'm the one that's going to prepare the potato salad, then I'm the only one that's going to make it. No other hands will go into the salad, the preparation of the salad. The men would do all the frying, the barbecuing, the grilling. The women are the ones that prepare the dishes and tell the husbands or uncles or grandfathers, okay, this is all ready, so this is what you guys need to do and take. And then the younger, I'll say the teenagers, they're the ones that go and take whatever's needed. If the women in the kitchen needed something, they tell them to go get it because they're older than us. And so me as being, let's say, 7, 8 years old, 6, 7, 8, we're the ones that make sure the chillers are filled with soda. There's the coffee's filled, the water. Somebody takes care of that. A set of children do that. Some of us are lined up on the tables and we make sure there's no flies on the food. Make sure everything's
all of that
covered.
is very important.
Yeah. The other thing is someone makes sure that all the trash is emptied and filled with another bag. So everybody has something to do. There's a task. You're given something to do, and that nobody's not doing anything. Somebody in the family is doing something. Yep. And the family gets to when we come together, we all bring what it is that we want to help, contribute, and that's how they go about making our gathering a success, fun. Yeah. So everybody's relating, talking, how's your day, how was your week, how was work, how's the family doing. It's always asking, how's your family doing? That's the first thing you ask. How's everybody? And the conversation begins. Yeah.
Nice.
Carries on.
I really enjoyed all you shared. It's kind of interesting. I wanted to before we sat down was pull you into raising your kids here, but I don't think that you gave so much. It's pretty amazing. But for the nowadays, do you have maybe for right now, what do you see as good things that are still here? Maybe, I don't want to put words in your mouth. From the time you came, it seems like you've seen good things on all your times here. What are these good things that are still here for you that you feel is in our community or anything? I mean,
There are some things that aren't done or here anymore. And then, like you said, there are still those things. I'll start, since you asked that, there's the Aleut dancing, the Aleut teaching in the school. When our children started going to school, and when I first saw the Aleut dancers get together, making their regalia, I remember our daughter Shiona coming home and saying, "Mom, you need to finish putting this on my dress." So I said, "Well, what am I supposed to do?" And she said that Miss Edna had given them some things, beads or whatever, to sew on to her dress. It's like, okay, I'll try my best. I don't have a sewing machine, but I can hand sew, so I'll try. And so from the time that they started teaching them the Aleut dancing, it was beautiful. It was like, oh, wow, the kids get to perform, and we get to see them do it, sing it, dance it, and what is the meaning of it. And so, Debbie, you've been a part of it, and I miss that. I miss that because I don't see it anymore. And I pray that it be brought back. I miss it because I felt that that's what made the children at that young age grow up and be closer to the Aleut culture, their language. Even if they can't speak it, they know who they are, where they're from, and what they've learned. And I really miss it. I've seen the dances. They've had different regalias, and it's just not there. And I'd like to see that come back because it means a lot for me to share that. I'd like it to continue, go further, and it doesn't have to be big. It's just, even if it was just the 5 songs that they sang every year, it was great. And the dancing, it's precious, you know. Just like we have dances at my hometown, yeah. And I just want to see that continue. Another one is I see the entities compared to the way it was back then. There's Gabe Stepton, Larry Merkuliev, all those that became a part of the political leadership. A lot of them were elders, but there were those that are young also. Mike Zahara, there's Mike Z, Larry, Gabe Stepton, I think Perfina was part of it.
Agathon.
Crosby.
Yeah.
I couldn't, not a lot that I attended to sit and listen, but they worked real hard. And now seeing the entities now, there's the ones that were younger are becoming the elders now, and then the younger generation, to see them try to understand how it was back then and moving forward to where they are now. There's a lot of changes, and the changes aren't bad. They aren't bad, because they just need to work together and make it work. And you know what political leadership is? It's it's either yes or no. Decision making is not easy, but there's a lot of changes.
Is that is that something, because the next thing I was going to find out is if you had any concerns about where things are now, or whether they're political, the ecology, the wildlife, or do you have any concerns, community education, anything like that?
The changes are, let's see, for example, okay, so it was government days back then. The way the seal harvest was done, the process and all that. And so now it's, the seal harvest now is only for so many, probably a month, so many days. There's those of us that still go out to the killing field to attend the seal harvest and get subsistence. It's great. I see a lot of the children that come, but it's not the way it used to be, where I can see a lot of, I want to say there's not a lot where I see the younger generation kind of come in and say, I want to do that. There's only a few. And so I'm hoping that the children will be able to maybe ask somebody in the family, like, you know, how do they do that, or how do they go about? Maybe if it's presented to them at the school, maybe it would be one way to let them understand more about the seal harvest during the summer, the halibut fishing season, like the, you know,
Yeah, I think like
it's
one of the things with
there's a lot that's not too involved. I mean, they go and they see it, you know, they become a part of it. Hey, the fishing boat is coming in, or they're back from sealing, and you see all that, and it's great. But it just not like the way it used to be, where there's more than a handful of them coming up and saying, I want to do that. I don't know if maybe, I don't think they're afraid. I think they just don't know. Maybe they just don't know how to go about with it. And maybe that's what's holding them back. But, you know,
Myron is really, having seen him over the years, being a dad, and your boys going out there and him teaching them, showing them, and then teaching them, and then watching them while they're doing it has been great to see that happen.
it's a great experience. For me, when he first wanted to take them out fishing, no, they're too young. I'm worried. But he, you know, I trust him, and I said, okay, just, you know, be careful, you know, watch what he's doing, and make sure he's by you all the time. And he did. I'm really grateful and thankful that he did that. I mean, he took the boys hunting, he took the boys fishing, sealing, and they do it now. The girls, we've gone, we've done it. I mean, I watched, you know, hey, we're gonna go sealing. Come on, we're gonna go sealing, and they would never say no. They would always come, and don't see a lot of that now nowadays, where you see, you know, children come out together. It's either they're with family or friends, but like others that say, hey, I'm going to go sealing. You want to come sealing with me? And so I'm thinking, like, you know how they do Pribilov days? They used to have that. They still do it. Maybe that would be something that I'd like to see more for the children. Get them involved. Maybe even by age group. I don't know. Sometimes when you have the younger children with the older children, you know, they get distracted because the older children may know more than them, so maybe they don't feel that, oh, they're not listening to me, so I'll just play. I don't know. But yeah, things like that, like for Pribilov days, even letting them go and see what the fishermen do from the time that they get ready to go fishing, and when they come in to the harbor, the way they deliver their fish, how they give out their fish. I don't know, to make them be a part of it. Trying to think of like an easy way to do it. The only way I would think of, I mean, like with me, we've always done this. When Myron goes out fishing with the crew and they come back, we're always, it was either the radio or now cell phones, right? Hey, Dad's coming in, so he'll be in 15 minutes. We'll see you down at the dock. And we'll say, okay, Mom, we'll be down. And so I kept that going. I kept that going by telling them, Papa's coming in. I tell the grandchildren, Papa's going to be coming in. So let Mom know. Yeah, and so we'll all get together, and that's where it begins. It starts. They come ashore, they park, and we walk down to the. Hey, you can't go down there. You don't have your vest on. Can't go down to the dock. And the little things, when they say the little things become the big things or the important things, and they're excited. They even say, Papa, can we ride the boat from Trident Dock to the small boat harbor? It makes them become a part of that.
I know
So that's what we do. That's what I do, and it's just me. Nothing, It's just something that I want to continue doing, and we are doing it. And it's like, oh, today they had a great day. Today wasn't a great day. They only brought in this much, but that's not the point. The point is for them to see their papa, Myron, come in with the crew, and then they're going to deliver the fish, and then it's like, okay, we're all going to get into the trucks and we're going to go over to the small boat harbor, and then it's not just Papa, it's the other fishing vessels too. Hey, look, Simeon's coming in, or Dan's coming in, or hey, Miss John W. Yeah, and I try to not use their names, but their boat name. Like, look, Wind Dancer's coming in, or Bering Sea Princess. So I identify their vessels to the grandkids, and they'll say, which one is Papa's? And they'll say, he's right there, they'll point. And so I find it to be exciting, because I want them to enjoy that, and that's what I want to share with them. Nana said, Nana just called, Papa's coming in, we got to go down. And they're excited, so it's like, we got to go, we can't be late. Yeah.
you do that with the planes coming, when your family comes to
Yeah,
the plane.
yeah. We go out and we greet. Sometimes I don't go out to the airport because it's like, I can't leave. I already put the food in the oven, so I'll just wait here, and then you guys can go pick up whoever's coming in, Sean or Connie or And then the fun thing about it is, like when Myron Jr. and his wife Marissa, my daughter-in-law, and the grandkids are coming in. Of course, we all go out. I'm excited. At one time, I did not know Macy was coming in that day when Myron Jr. was coming in. And so they didn't tell me, so I got out to the airport a little late, maybe 5-10 minutes. And then as I started walking towards the the POS camp to go inside, I saw her running to me, and I was just I had tears in my eyes. My nanny, Macy, and yeah, we're always There's always something, It's like, don't tell Nana or don't tell Papa, or they'll say, we didn't tell the kids. We didn't tell the kids that they're coming in. It's like a surprise. And so we do that. And then when they're leaving also, they come to Nana and Papa's house. And whether I expect them or not, say, hi, come in. And then whatever I've prepared, we'll have some, we'll share. After they eat, Nana, can I have a snack? Sure, help yourself. Nana's snack is over there. Go help yourself. It's like, can I have this? Sure, you ate all your dinner. You can have it. And it's a great feeling because, they ask you. They just don't get up and do it. They ask. They're comfortable. I tell them, make yourselves at home. One thing about being a grandmother, a nana, or a kuka, is the love you have for your grandchildren is a different type of love that you have for your own children, with your own children.
I just told you that earlier. Wait
It's
till
a
you
different
become
type,
a grandparent.
right? It's a different type of feeling. There's a lot of love for me. There's a lot of love. I love our children, but the love for your grandchild is is there's just this extra type of love that you have for them. And they're curious. They're curious, and so I try my best to answer them in a way where they will understand it. The way they're thinking.
Mm-hmm.
I try to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I'll share something though. As a nana or a nana, I always have to tell myself, don't forget, there's mom and dad. Mom and dad's the boss.
Mm-hmm.
But, I tell you, there's been a few times that I have stepped in and gone over mom and dad. and so I've taught myself to okay, just don't say
Yeah.
anything. Yeah, and it's hard.
Hard to remind ourselves.
It's
to do
hard.
that.
It's hard because that's the love you have for your grandchild, your grandchildren, and you and I love them. I want them to feel that. I don't want them to be afraid to come up and ask me whatever it is they want to ask. No, and I'll do my very best to give them an answer. My very best to let them understand what it is that they want to know, or whatever it is that they're asking. There are times when I would say, you know what? I would remind them there are children out there that don't have what you have. Be always thankful and grateful for what you have. And I would share stories with them. So when I was growing up, I didn't have my own bicycle. And so I shared a story with them. And so I tell them, so happy you have your own bike. Nana never had a bike like that when she was growing up. But I did get to learn how to ride a bike. My cousins and I, we all shared, hey cousin, come ride my bike. So that's one of the things that I would tell them. Sharing. If you're not going to share, put it away. Or I try to teach, let them understand that's your brother, that's sister. It's okay. And every child is different, whether you're a brother and sister, you're just different. You're siblings, but every sibling is different.
Their own person.
They have their own, their own personality. They have their own ways of explaining things themselves. And you love them for who they are, what it is they wanna do, and for me as a parent and a grandparent, I want the best for them. I would like for them to do the things that they want to do for themselves. For mom, they always say, Mom and Dad, this is what I'm doing. That's good, but I want them to know, and I've told them, do it for yourself. This is for you now. Mom and Dad made sure that you went to school and you got that diploma in your hand, and it's up to you if you want to go to college. College isn't made for everybody, but try it out. There's a lot of things that you can do, but do what it is that's going to make you happy. Don't just do it for mom and dad. Do it for yourself.
That kind of sounds like what you answered something I was going to ask you about happy, successful life. I think you just said it. If you were with closing, do you have any regrets? Is there anything you regret?
Is there anything I regret?
Anything you regret? And I don't think we've had anybody.
I wouldn't say regret. No. I miss home. I love my home. I love my family, relatives. I mean, the way I grew up is totally different from growing up here in St. Paul. One thing I want to share is yes, raising 5 children is not easy. Keep you busy, especially if you're a working mom. I've always been a working person, and I stayed a working mom. Stayed a working mom, a fisherman's wife. I still am, but I'm not a working mom like out working. I'm home now. I'm a housewife, but I still get up and do things. I stayed working until our youngest graduated from high school, and it was different. That was something else. My first morning getting up and having a cup of coffee with my husband before he left for work and watching all the vehicles drive down the road. It's like, so this is how it feels to sit and have a nice cup of coffee with my husband, and everybody's on their way to take their children to school or they're on their way to work. Yeah, I've never experienced that, because I've always gotten up and I was on my way to work, take the children to school. My husband's already at work, he needs to leave way earlier, and so it was up to me to make sure the children got to school and I got myself to work. And boy, it was a challenge. But raising the children and doing the things you need to do as a parent, especially if you're both working parents, it's tough. It's tough because you're trying to balance everything. It's not always going to be a great day. There's going to be days when you've had a rough day. And one of the things that Myron and I have told ourselves is when we come home from work, we're going to leave work at work. Because that's one of the things that we kind of ran into, bringing work home. And we're talking while I'm getting dinner ready, or the kids are doing homework and stuff. There was things that our children had to do also. Like when they got off from school, it was, you got to go home, you got to do your homework. If you didn't do your homework, you're going to sit there and do your homework. That's your responsibility. Getting their snacks ready for school, their clothing that they're going to wear. Yep. And I come home after 5 o'clock and I'm getting dinner ready. Laundry, I'm putting laundry down, folding clothes, I'm multitasking. Yeah. My weekends, my Saturday is my house cleaning day. The children know what to do. Laundry to the back. Bring all your laundry to the back, strip your beds. I mean, they had chores. They had chores to do. We live in the house, and the things that I've asked them, taught them to do, helps mom, helps dad. Boys, go see if dad needs help or if mom needs help. And a lot of the things I just did. It was always, mom will do it. I will take care of it. Yeah. Or I'll let their dad know. One of the things is when you have children and they're growing up and they have friends and the weekend's coming, Mom, can we spend the night out? No. Cannot spend the night out. Or Mom, can I go back out and play? Did you finish your homework? Maybe after dinner. But by the time dinner's done, it's dark out, right? And so I have this thing, and it's funny because the city of St. Paul always puts out a curfew. And the curfew says a certain age to a certain time. So the kids are like, Mom, can we go out and play with our friends? And I say, oh, it's already getting dark. No, sorry, you have to stay home. Yep, it's already dark out. So they're not happy about it. Or even on the weekend when they say, Mom, we're going to go play out now. And I said, well, what time is it? And they'll say, oh, we're going to go do this. Whether taking walks or riding bikes or snowboarding, what are you going to do? Where are you going? And they'll say, oh, Mom, we could be home by this time, right? No. What's the rule? So there's a certain time that our children had to be home. And when they're not home at that time, I'm out the door. I'm in my car and I'm riding around town looking for them. But it's discipline, you know? It's tough love, discipline, and if anything, our children are like, Mom's mean, you know? But I was a strict mom. I was strict. It was either a yes or a no. Going back to spending the nights out, they'll go to their dad. Dad, can we spend the night? Did you ask Mom? Mom said no. When Mom said no, it's no. That's it. Yeah. And that was one of the other things. It was like, if we already said no, there's no way that you can try to let us say yes, because we've already made that decision. It's either yes or it's no. And we stood by it. It's tough though. I mean, you know, kids grow up, they become teenagers, and there's just things that, you know, you want to do, and it's like, oh, Mom said no. Yeah.
Is there anything that you feel like we missed that you would want
I'm
to
trying
share?
I'm trying to think as I'm talking here. Like, I'm saying to myself, like, Debbie asked me something, or George say something. There's a lot of things that I really still want to share, right?
I like the way
Yeah.
you rounded back and remembered
Yeah.
things. Even like
Like,
early on, you said talked about my dad and the word bread, and then you brought it in later when it was a part of your work realm. So no, those I feel like you did. It was great.
I actually wanted to share with you guys. I just learned how to cut the actual seal meat from my niece Destiny. Myron and them were out fishing, and so like, what do I do? Like, okay, we haven't put in our order for subsistence, and so I said, okay, Destiny, I'll ask Destiny. She could show me. It's easy. It's like just teaching yourself how to cut up carcass and finding the joints and stuff
Yeah.
like that. But yeah, I watched her and she showed me, and it was simple. The thing about it during the seal harvest is when my husband and my boys go sealing and they get home, they cut everything up for Mom. They cut everything up for me. I have these large bowls, and they put hearts, livers, rican, pistoli. The flippers, of course, is already in a bag to make lusta, yes and no bone, all that, all the, you know, all the parts to the seal meat. They're in the bowls, and then when they bring them into me, all I do is I let them cool off, and then I grab my Ziploc bags and my marker, and according to our family size, that's how much I would put in each bag, and I would have our seal meat, our subsistence, ready for our meal. So I never got to cut any of the seal meat. Myron taught the boys, and the boys can do it now. And all I do is they just bring it in. Okay, Mom, we're done. It's like, okay, put it all on the table. I would take care of it, and I would bag everything. And then when I'm ready to put them in the freezer, Myron, and if one of the boys is there at the house, and they'll help me put it in the freezer. The same with halibut. But I do know how to fillet the halibut. I do know how to cut the halibut up. I taught myself. I wanted to share the story about how I love lusta. And so my husband and my boys make the lusta for me, but I've watched them do it. And maybe this next seal harvest, maybe I'll make my own bucket myself. But they do it for me. They do it for me. But because I love lusta, I didn't know how to cut the flipper. And so I said, just gonna have to teach me how. so I can cut it myself, so I can prepare our dinner, our meal. How am I going to do that if I don't know how to cut the flipper? And so my mother-in-law told me, my husband Myron, he says, okay, you see your hand, see the flipper? It's just like that. There's 5 fingers, right? And so I said, okay, so that means you need to have a sharp knife. And he says, okay, so how do I know where to cut? He says, okay, you just hold the flipper up on the cutting board, and as if like a picture of my hand, and then just start from there. And so find the joint, come down, cut into where the joint is, and then that would separate it. I said, oh, I could do that.
They say, see the nails?
Yeah, no. So that's how I taught myself. I taught myself to do that. And so now I can perfectly cut the Lusta flipper. And it'll be in the pan. And so I was really happy. And I'm happy I can make homemade bread. I'm just proud of myself because a lot I watch by learning, listening, and then I just teach myself. And there's a few things that I would add in there, like, oh, I'm going to put this in my cooking. I'm going to check it out, see how it is. I have not attempted, but I keep saying I'm going to try and do it, and I haven't done it yet. And I keep telling myself, darn it, I didn't do it again. So because we grew up with coconut milk, I would like to try and prepare seal meat in coconut milk, with coconut milk.
And that would be
I don't know how it's going to turn out, but I keep telling myself, and I just...
Are you thinking
I
like
haven't done
along
it.
the lines of a curry thing? Or
No. Just boiled meat and adding the coconut milk in there. Yeah. It's a simple boil the meat and add in the coconut milk with vegetables. I know they don't sell fresh green beans, but you can use frozen green beans. You can use potatoes in it, cabbage. Yeah.
There was this guy, a friend
So
of
I
mine
would like
from...
to try it. And possibly curry also, because I love curry. Yeah.
I know they used to the salted meat curry that Doris used to do. But there was a friend of mine from Greenland who came here, and they eat different type of seal, but he was like, we just boil it. And he's like, do you have mustards? And so I was like, got different kinds of mustards.
Oh,
And you
okay.
just boil it and you just dip in different mustards and eat it. It was like, yum.
I know that when you have boiled seal meat, I know some like to have it with hot mustard.
The hot one,
Yeah, that one. I like to have my seal meat with seal oil. I make my own Lakoda oil. I taught myself how to make oil because I love it. I like it with my meal, and I enjoy it. So I taught myself how to make seal oil. Yeah, I tried it, and I was really happy. It's like, yes, it turned out. So now I have my own seal oil.
Did
in
it
my
turn out the
freezer.
first time?
No.
Okay.
It did not. Close, but no. So
Mine didn't either.
Yeah. So I've prepared halibut fish pie, the Peru or piruga. I've done the salmon. I've done seal burgers, the kaklitka, the fried seal meat with the gravy, the isaladen, homemade breads, dinner rolls. I know how to prepare student, but I have not. Myron and I have not prepared it. I know how to go about. We know how to go about with it. We've been talking about it. Well, we didn't make student this year. Maybe next year. And I told him, I said, well, but you've got to go get sea lion, right? Yeah. So that's one of the things that we both have not put together. We both know how to do it, like the preparation and all, but we have not done it. Yeah. And then I think that's it. I've done bird soup, roast duck,
And of course,
one time I tried making salted alugnos stew. I've tried the piruga on it. I like it, but I prefer the stew, the alagnose salted seal meat stew. Yeah, I can have the salted seal meat piruga, but I love the salted seal meat stew. Yeah, and my sister-in-law Z was the one that, when she made it, I told her, I said, I love this. How do you make this? And so she said you would have to make your salted seal meat and then use that. Yeah. So
Do you salt seal meat?
my husband and I did once, but we gave it like Auntie August loves salted seal meat. Yeah, and it was just that one time. Yeah.
think-
But those are the Aleut dishes that I've prepared.
Did you ever prepare meringues?
And yeah,
Yeah, how
just fried or scrambled. I know that you can make alodics, use it in alodics when you're gonna make your alodic dough. Yeah, but I've never done that. I've just
tastes
only
really
fried
good.
it. Also, they taught me. I also learned that when you crack open the meringue, if it's good or if it's bad. Yeah, well, technically it's not bad, but I mean, if it has the baby chicken, the baby bird on the yolk, or if you see that it's not just like the egg yolk and the egg white, but if you see a discoloration, then don't use it. That's what I learned. Yeah, so I said okay. My husband has, when we got the eggs, he showed me how you can clean it, and so you can have a clean egg on your shelf, or as your chuchuladan, is that what they call it that you guys say? Yeah. So I believe we've given our granddaughters one each. Yeah. And so whenever he gets one, he needs to maybe do a few more.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he showed me how to do that. I think I did a video on him doing that because I wanted, I wanted the grandkids to see how he went about cleaning it without breaking the egg. Yeah, that was another thing.
I had to put mine really high. I guess it's time I could take it down. My grandkids are all bigger now.
Yeah.
But Micah would say, "Can you bring down the sunblend for?" Bring it down. He likes to look at them.
Yeah, and there's like different, the color, the shape. At first, when they first picked it, it's like, is that how the egg looks? But of course, I didn't know. Yeah, I didn't know that they were getting it from where they nested, and then, yeah. So you have to wash the egg, and then and the shells are pretty thick.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the first time I tried to crack it open. It's not. It's not doing anything. It's not going to open up. It's not going to crack open. So Myron says you need to hit it a little harder on the in your bowl. So it's like, why don't you do it? And so I can watch how you do this. And I realized that the shell is thicker than a regular chicken egg, and it's bigger. Yeah. It's another
that's
thing.
good. Yeah.
Oh, and I tried sea urchin. When I went to watch them pick that. And agonis, there. I said, what is that? They told me in Aleut it's agonis. What's agonis? What is it? And so they said, it's sea urchin. So I said, oh. Did you ever try one? They asked me if I've tried it. I said, no. I said, okay. So they opened it up and I tried it and I didn't like it. I don't know if it was a bad one or if it was a good one, but I tried it just that one time. Yeah. So I've done that. I also wanted to share, I explored St. Paul on my own. I call it my walks, but the walks turned out to be into hikes. So due to wanting to go out and do some walking, I was like, I don't know if I should go walking. I'm kind of bashful. people are going to see me walking. It's like, well, you never see Myron's wife out walking. But I had to do it because I needed to make a change, because of my health. And so I said, okay, I'm going to go start my walking. Yeah. And so I did this thing where I would do 1 year, 365 days walking. And that's when I saw more of St. Paul by taking these walks. And I would try to I started off with 30-minute walks, which led to an hour, but at my own pace. And it was really, I just told myself, I said, I'm not afraid to go walking. I'm not by myself. Lord, watch over me when I go walking, because I would be listening to music. And I was like, okay, I'm not by myself. But going on the walks, I didn't realize that there's a lot of things that I didn't see. And I don't know if, I even said to Myron, my husband, like, hey, did you know that I went walking here? You ever go walking up that way? Have you ever gone walking up that way? And he says, no. It's like, this is what I saw, and I would take pictures. Yeah, and so when I wanted to go walk up on Palavina Hill, at first I said, I don't know if I should go up there by myself. What if I fall, get hurt? And then I said, I can do this. You can do it. It's one of the things I always tell my grandchildren. You can do it. Try it. You can do it. So I'm always, when I go watch their games, you can do it. Nana says you can do it. You can do it. Come on. Try it. You can do it. Don't give up. Try. You can do it. So I always tell them, you can do it. Go out there. You can do it. So when I was going to take my hike up Palavina Hill, the corral, I'm comfortable, right? So I know this is where everybody goes. There's a trail. I did not know that there was another way to get to the top of Palavina. So I followed that trail. And as I went further and I got to the top, almost to the top, I had to decide whether I needed to continue, because the way the slope was to go further and get up there was in a kind of like a straight. It wasn't like in a slant angle, but it was like, how am I going to get up there? So I see the grass around me, the rocks, and I don't know how well it is. And I said, what if I put my foot there and I fall back? It's like, okay, I'll be okay. Take a deep breath. And I've never gone to the top of Palavina. And so I said, man, this thing looks like it's a straight way. It's like you're walking upwards, but then it's going to slant. And so I challenged myself. I took a deep breath, drank some water. It's like, okay, it's either I throw this water bottle down and it's going to go, so I won't hurt myself, get hurt, right? I said, I'll have to make a choice. It's like, I'll be fine. I'll be fine. And so I started to walk up, made it to the top, and when I got up there, I saw the whole, it was like I was at the top of the world. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is beautiful. I saw vehicles driving by. I was even waving, thinking, what if they weren't looking? Maybe they don't see me. But maybe they do. I don't know. They probably see my truck. They probably know it's me up here. And before I go out walking, I always tell Shiona, Mom, where are you going walking today? Oh, this is where I'm going to go. It's okay, Mom. And my time of walking is always from the time I leave, which is after lunch. But I'm getting home by a certain time because I would start dinner. And so she's okay, Mom. And she even says, maybe I should carry a VHF radio. But I don't want to carry a radio in my water bottle. I'll be fine. So she says, just let me know where you're going to be at. And if I don't get home on time, they'll know where to look for me, where to go and look, where to find me. So when I made it to the top, I had a tear in my eye. Because I did it. It's like, oh my gosh, I get to go home and tell my honey and my kids that I made it to the top of Palavina by myself. And so that was the challenge. And then the next challenge on that part was coming down. It's like, oh man, I got myself up here. If I get myself up here, I know I can get myself down. And so I just took my time. Of course, I took a deep breath, took my time, and it's like, Lord, watch over me. I'm gonna make it down. I'm gonna make it down here. So it's just that one part, that the way it's angled. That was the only part. And if I can get through that, then the rest of the way is easy. And I loved and I enjoyed my walk, the 365 days that I did my challenge. I saw a lot of different flowers, birds. I don't even know the names to them. But I took photos as best as I could. I tried to describe where I was at, only because I knew where I was at. But maybe I didn't know the name of the hill. I don't know. But I took photos. And it was my day. It was my time alone in St. Paul. I didn't have nobody with me. And it's like, well, it would have been nice to have somebody walk with me. But it's okay. Yeah.
I think those are some of my best times
Yeah.
when I was out by myself
Yeah.
on the island.
You know, and it's a great feeling. And I would come home and I would tell my husband, I know it's been a long day for them. I'd tell him, honey, this is where I went today. Do you know that your island is beautiful? Have you ever gone out? Like when you were growing up, I would say to him, you know, growing up, did you go walking? Did you go to these places? Maybe you did. But I'm just asking because I went there. And
There
this
weren't as many vehicles past then.
No, I
back
know.
Then
There
too.
wasn't, yeah.
Yeah.
And I told him, I said, your hometown is beautiful. And I don't know, I know that maybe there's not a lot of people that go out walking or hiking. Now, I don't know, this is the first time I've done this. But I said, but tomorrow, this is where I'm going to go. Yeah. And he's the one that would drive me to go to places. I wouldn't go. Maybe as far as I would go would be, you know, southwest or even to northeast. I sometimes like, should I drive out there? What if I get stuck? You know, I think about that. But yeah, I've driven out that way. I've walked on North Beach, southwest. I've even walked past southwest to the
bluffs.
yes,
Yeah.
over that way. I've gone beyond. I've gone that way. I've gone even further, and it's like, man, I better turn around. So I'll check my time, turn around, go back. Starts to rain. It's muddy, and like, oh my gosh.
Your cell phone could work
Yeah.
out there by the cliffs, past the gate.
Oh,
I only know that because I
only
walked
went-
on there my birthday one year. I was a solo walk,
Yeah.
and my phone rang. I was like, and I was like right on the cliffs after Southwest and before the bluffs. And it was my brother Philip calling me to tell me happy birthday. I'm like, oh wow, hey, you got a hold of me, and I told him where I was at. It was
yeah. I
exciting.
think it would depend like where you're at, like because of the hills and stuff.
Yeah.
But from Southwest Point and then over to the bluffs, high
and
bluffs.
beyond to Tasmania. is
Yeah,
beyond
well, yeah, so only out by where Southwest is, past that one gate where that sign is, I walk further and then I look and it's like, okay, go a little bit further. And I go a little bit further and further. And then it's like, okay, it's time to turn around. So all I could see is the hill further. And so I would turn around there and then go back. And I would go back. I check to see if the berry patches are ready.
grasses aren't tall there, so it's a good walk.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah.
It was good.
That and Melovidov, those are good walks. Have you ever done Boguslav?
No.
That was
No.
like deep grass.
And so that's the place that, of course, I wouldn't go there by myself, but the children have told me about it, and they said, Mom, you cannot go there. You can go there, but you can't go by yourself, and I don't know if you could. You know, you might get hurt. You might get hurt. You might get lost. I can't get lost. St. Paul is St. Paul. I always have
Keep
this
walking,
thing.
you'll reach the sea.
I mean, I stay positive. But yeah, I enjoyed my walks. I even drove to Maroonick bravely out that way. and then I parked, and then I went for a walk. You know, I parked my truck somewhere, and then I would just go for a walk. It's like, okay, I know this road goes to Tasmania, so I'm not going that way, but I'll walk over to that one hill, and then I'll walk over to the other side. Yeah, that's where I would walk. That's another thing. There's so much, but anyway, I'm glad I got to share this
Yeah,
with both
thank
of
you. It was good having you share this.
I'm glad I was able to share it. I feel
Yeah,
like
I
there's a lot that I didn't get to share, but I kind of went from the beginning to this and then to that. Yeah.
Yeah. No, thanks for doing that. And thank you for the coach.
You're
too.
welcome. I hope you enjoy it. Thank you
Yeah.
for thinking of me and inviting me down to do this.
Yeah.